Assalamu alaikum everyone. How are you? A nice, not warm, not too cold. Yet another Saturday. Just few days back it seems the year was ending and then the year started and we are almost come to the end of the first month of the year. I'm sure everybody is going to agree that whatever the reason may be, but the time is flying. I mean, Monday starts, suddenly it's Friday, and everybody seems to have so much to be done. You as students, you I'm sure don't never have enough time to complete your work. We as family members, as working women, and if you are attached to London Montessori International, definitely, whether you are a student, whether you are the staff, we have to make, we have to be on time and we have to make 24 hours equal to 48 hours. That's how fast we are moving. I will like to apologize for this little technical delay. We always start off on time, but the camera people had some problem at the gate and they came late, so they set it up late, and since we wanted to have it all recorded. But as soon as you settle down, and you are settled down, we are not going to be wasting any more time. There is a lot to be said and we have a whole day with us. There are ladies sitting here. These are some of our staff members, the expert, the senior experts in the Montessori, London Montessori International. Mrs. Meher Javed, can we give her a welcome and a nice, if you are a student, of course you know her, and if you are a student of London Montessori International, you still know her, because all these ladies are here, there, everywhere, in the conferences, seminars, sometimes taking your tests, and so on. Next to Mrs. Meher Javed, Mrs. Nazra Amreen. And Mrs. Nazra Amreen is a Montessori expert. I am not going to introduce her in the same way as we always do, but I suppose you can't. Her identity is that she is an LMIN. That means one day she was sitting here just like you as a student. And when you hear her, you will realize what a long journey she has traveled. MashaAllah. And next to Mrs. Meher Javed, the lady in red, Mrs. Nadia Salahuddin. I would not say still new. How many years has it been, ma'am? 1.5. So still new as compared to the others who are, 10 plus. Nadia Salahuddin, an expert, full of Montessori knowledge, and once you listen to her lecture, you will also realize that, oh yes. So the beautiful part about LMI and we the LMIans, that I always say that we are all different. I am and my name is Anjum Akhtar. I am in the Zamzama branch in the morning session and then partly in the afternoon session. I am there in the head office. So each one of us have our own style, our own way, our own personality. But there is one thing in common, and that is the child. So it's going to be all about the child. Extremely interesting. The first few chapters are quite technical, but they will make it simple. So let's start off with the lecture and then later on we'll move on to the attendance. The first topic taken from the book, The Absorbent Mind. The topic is the period of growth, period or the phases of growth, and it is going to be delivered to you by Mrs. Nadia Salahuddin. So let's give her a nice warm welcome.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum to everybody. Thanks to Almighty Allah that He has given us another very good morning and we all are gathered here. And then secondly, thankful to LMI platform who always give us the opportunity to learn more and more about the child, which is a miracle creation of Almighty Allah and about the Montessori system, which Dr. Maria Montessori has discovered. Now the topic for me and the first topic from the book is the periods of growth. Almighty Allah has created the child, the universe, everything around us, and every creation of Almighty Allah is a miracle, isn't it? We all believe this. And many psychologists have studied child's growth and the development from birth to the university level, and they are still on the research. The research is not finished yet. But Dr. Maria Montessori, after a great deal of research, she discovered that the fundamental difference between a child and the adult is that the child is in a continual stage of development. He is developing continuously, whereas we as adults, our physical development is stopped at certain stage. You will not be able to see any physical change in us in the age where we are. But when you observe the child, you see that the child is growing and there is a change in the growth. Now the period of growth or the stages of growth are divided into 3 stages. Starting from birth to 18 years, there are 3 phases, and every phase, every stage is quite distinct from one another. They are quite different. The characteristics are quite different from each other, and when you observe the child closely, you will see these differences very easily. I would like to give the details. Like the first stage is from 0 to 6 years. We all know it. And this is a period of great transformation, great changes, very obvious changes which we see in every child. When we say every child is different, we have to see the individual differences. So practically we see that yes, every child is different. Though the stage of growth or the pattern of growth will be same, but still there will be a difference in every child. Now this phase is characterized by the observant mind of the child. And then this stage is further divided into 2 stages. One is from 0 to 3 years, and the next is from 3 to 6 years. I would like to say here that the 0 to 3 is named as unconscious absorbent mind of the child. The child absorbs everything from the environment effortlessly and without doing any hard work, simply by living in the environment. And the 3 to 6 years is known as a conscious absorbent mind. Whatever the child is doing, he is doing it consciously and with the will, with his own choices, his likes and dislikes. Now in the unconscious absorbent mind, the child is completely dictated by the mind, which is unconscious. He constantly absorbs everything from the environment without knowing whether it is good or bad. All the impressions he sees in the environment, all the working he sees, all the happening he sees in the environment, he is taking it unconsciously into his mind, just like a sponge. Dr. Maria Montessori compares this unconscious absorbent mind period as a sponge. The sponge's work is to absorb the water without knowing whether the water is clean or it is dirty. But he absorbs. At some other place, she compares this unconscious absorbent mind with the camera. The work of the camera is to click a picture. Whether knowing the picture is good, it will be a dark picture or it will be a bright picture. But the camera will keep on doing his work. So in the same manner, the unconscious mind of the child absorbs everything from the environment. And we as adults, we have to see that whatever we are giving to the child, through the environment should be beneficial for the child, helpful for his intellect as well as for his physical growth. Now this is a period of auto-education. The child educates himself. Nobody is telling the child, nobody is guiding the child from the outer world, but his inner urge, which is known as home. The name given is home, which is inner urge of the child, allows him, helps him, guide him to educate himself. Whatever he is learning, he is doing it on his own. His physical appearance is a little bit chubby and plumpish, isn't it? We see the children between this age, they are a little bit plump, isn't it? And the first set of milk teeth appears during this period. During 0 to 3 years, we all have noticed that the first set of milk teeth, and the child looks very cute, very, isn't it? We have an inner love for the child due to his physical appearance as well. Now we come to the conscious absorbent mind, which is 3 to 6 years. The child becomes very sensitive to adults' influence. He doesn't want all the time to be interfered, because whatever impressions he has taken during 0 to 3 years, now he is clarifying those impressions. Now he is correcting his own impressions, and now he is becoming perfect for all those impressions which he has taken unconsciously during 0 to 3 years. The mind of the child works effortlessly as it was working in the unconscious, but now at a lower pace. During 0 to 3, the mind was working very rapidly, but during 3 to 6 years, it is at a slower pace. Now the child absorbs with his own will. Whatever he wants to work, he works it. Now you see, during 0 to 3 years, the schooling is not required, because there are no choices, there are no likes and dislikes, there is no will. But during 3 to 6 years, we take our child to the school, and we as mothers, we as parents, we want the best school for our child. We look for an ideal Montessori for the child, because now the time is that the child wants to work, the child wants to move, the child wants to build his intelligence. So the schooling also starts at this stage, at the age of 3 years. And the child is guided by his ego. When I say likes and dislikes, it means that the child is working with his own will, with his own ego. If he wants to repeat, he will repeat even for 42 times. We have given a lot of time this example also, that the child worked with cylinder blocks for 42 times because it was her inner will. She was not satisfied, she did not left the material. And once she was satisfied, she left. When he starts going to school, there is a change in the behavior. He likes to work with children, he likes to sit with them, he likes to share these things with them, because it is natural, it is from Almighty Allah that during this phase the child wants to work with the other children of the same age group, and he enjoys the company of his schoolmates. And this is a period of motor sensorial age. The child is developing his senses also while working with the material, because this is a designed material, a didactic material, and he is developing his senses also. Now these were the characteristics of 0 to 6 years. And then the child enters into a new phase, the second stage of development, and that the age is from 6 to 12 years. And this stage is very different from the previous one, 0 to 6, because the child is now becoming more independent, more physically strong as well, and more intellectual as well. Now this period is of great stability. Whatever the child has learned, now he will keep on experiencing the same. Now this, physically he becomes very strong. Mentally you might not see that change, but physically you will see that he has become more strong. They are calm and happy, mentally very strong and stable, and can do a great deal of mental work. They can do some puzzles, some more mathematical work, because they want to utilize their mental strength. He loses his chubbiness and becomes little bony and skinny. And the parents, the mothers and the grandmothers especially, they start getting worried of today. We as mothers, we as Montessorians, we as Montessori directresses, a great responsibility lies on our shoulders, that what sort of environment we are giving when the child is in the unconscious absorbent mind and when the child enters the Montessori environment. We, especially as Montessori directresses, should prepare the environment as per the need of the child. As we have learned, the physical environment, the spiritual preparation of the directress, and the love for the child. This is all. Thank you very much.
It's something quite difficult. 3 phases of the child's life, so simple and so understandable. Giving examples of people around us, and all mothers can visualize their child when they are during first phase, second phase or third phase. Lovely, I enjoyed it. I'm sure we all enjoyed it. Before we move any further, I need to know the attendance, and as I said, we did start a little bit late. I will request Ms. Shumaila to just take the attendance sheet of the guest participants, and anyone who is sitting among you as a guest, just raise your hand, whether you are a normal course student or a guest, kindly sign. She is going to just come to you. And as this is happening, we can continue talking, not the lecture, because you need to focus 100% on the lecture. In fact, you need to focus on everything that we will be saying. 2 new people have joined in after the introduction. Mrs. Itran Padma, student of Johor branch, definitely know her. And once again, we all know her for her contribution to LMI. She too, as Nazra Amri, is a LMI born child, meaning LMIan student of ours who has groomed and is progressing into expert. Okay. Students, do you know that what is the most unique feature about London Montessori International? Are you not speaking French? Huh?
It's open for all. Good dance.
No, that's not unique. If you're not inter, you can't come in.
Oh.
There are no gents allowed. That's the new part. What is the new part? What is the meaning of the word part? Way. You know, but it's just not a ordinary way. It's a new way. So what is this new part? And in the end of the conference, the journey of the child. Okay. You will agree with us that in the end today we have 4 lectures and then a 5th one, which we will let you know later about. 4 lectures taken from the book, The Absorbent Mind. You will realize that Mrs. Nadia spoke, and now I'm going to call the lady who's been receiving the call. The next lecture is by Mrs. Nazra Ambareen, a lady who is going to definitely make you listen and understand. Let's keep the time factor in mind. With that, the new part from the book Absorbent Mind to be delivered and given to you by Mrs. Nazra Ambareen.
The new part, because here the scientists focus towards a new direction. Earlier, all the research has done upon an adult, whenever it's a laboratory research, thank you, whether it's a laboratory research or general observation, everything is for an adult. There was no space for child in the society. As far as with the child is concerned, yes, he is a child, stay, and when he will grow, we will just see him. Even in Egypt, there was a very modern civilization, but no space for the children. And what happened with that civilization? That has destroyed, because there was no space for the children. So the new path, the direction of thinking has diverted toward the children. And not a little child of 1 day or 1 month, but a new direction has developed towards the origin of the child. Origin. When the child was there in the period of cytology and embryology. Now, make it simple that there is 2 lines. The adult is there and the adult is here. And the child is traveling in between these 2 adult lines. He was created as a cell by joining 2 adults. And how? With the love. And definitely not in the aggressiveness, not in the hyperness, with the result of the love. A result, what form? 2 cells join and become a drop of blood and then develop as an embryo. Again, there is an adult who take care of that embryo, totality. Nothing is able for that embryo to do, even not a single inch movement. That embryo is there and on the mercy of an adult. Who is the take care of that embryo? In this world, the mother. The embryo is totally depend on the mother's love, care. He is growing and growing and growing physically in the embryo with the love of mother. Right? So, when he is on the mother mercy, a mother protection. A mother move physically, mentally, psychologically, all the effect come on the child through the mother's sensitivity, mother's feeling. So totally depend on adult. Not know about anything, not developing by his own. It's very serious thing that we must have to understand it. That how to bring the change in the society. How to bring morality in adults. It is not possible at the age of 12. It is not possible at the age of 30. If you have to change the man, you have to think at the age of psychology. You have to think the process, the original process, the natural process which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given us. And these all processes are coming from love, care, protection. And who is protecting? Mother, parents, the parental force, a love. What is the parental force? A love. That is common there. You all are grown up, you have to understand. Then what is that? When the baby is out of the womb, he is no more embryo, now he is a child. A newborn child and a complete adult. This is what I mean to tell you, with love, with care. So here again, the child is not completely attached with an adult, but the love is still required. And who is the first who gives the love? Parents, a mother. With the force of that love, he is growing. He has to construct himself. He needs a mother's support, a parent's support. He has to complete himself. उसको अपने आप को मुकम्मल करना है. And what are the tools that make him complete by himself? only two rules. What he sees, he will do. What he will hear, he will speak. And from where he is getting all that thing? From an adult. Adult is passing every messages to the child, but with the love, the care, in the protection. Even you see that the wild animals, the tiger or any wild animal, how much soft, tender they become for their children. Why? Why not the furious way they adopted in developing their species? Allah has not given this. What Allah has given? Softness. Even the wild animals become soft for their cub. So why we are not following that softness, that love? You always learn the things from an animal. How animal is treated, because animal has not changed. We are step by step going toward the artificial life. We are not understanding the importance of the nature. But whatever the reason, the animals are strictly following the nature in the development of everything, especially in the cubs and the children. So follow this and get the example of animals in the development of child. Even the furious animals become very soft where it is the connection with their own child. Right? So what really mean here? That the child is developing through love, through care. The child is struggling for one task. He has something in his mind. He is not understanding the outer world, the artificial reasons, the illogical systems. He is only focusing himself. And what is that? At the time when she is coming, I'm just going to tell you more about it. That you see that on daily routine basis, what is happening with the children. The children really feels joy. And they are really enjoying what they are doing on the daily routine basis. Are they enjoying? And you never feel any tiredness, any fatigue on the faces of the children. ठीक है, कभी महसूस होता है? Have you ever feel that the child become tired with his effort and every day he is doing sort of same activity or different activity as per their sensitivity? But what happening with an adult? We become depressive in daily round. And the more he works, the more he becomes strong. The more he becomes active, the more he becomes intelligent. This is all the sign that something is happening. He is developing, he is growing, he is coming upward. But we adults, all the ways in opposite side. We become tired, we do not want to repeat an action. We become bored, the fatigue. So these all are the sign of the child that is there. Ma'am Anjum has given us a task. What is that? Attendance for the new admission. So, new admission, can you please stand up or just raise your hand so as Ma'am Shumaila.
Who are attending for the first time.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, and these are the students of the advanced course who are giving their test as well. You are signing your attendance sheet. And let's make a nice queue. Advanced course newcomer, you have a special sheet that has been already signed. Okay, that's really nice. Miss Shumaila, please come. Okay. If we have Mrs. Alia, it's one of you. And I keep saying she's a teacher of this branch, so you know her, and she's there, here, there. So the genes, there are the strong genes and the weak genes. So if a mother and father, how does it happen that in a family there may be 4 children, a son, 3 daughters? Some has the mother's eyes, some has the father's hair. Isn't that so? Do all your children look identical? No. Even twins sometimes may not be identical one. They look different, totally different. They can be boys and girls. So it's a very simple answer to this, and that is the human child, the physical feature is a result of the genes that's passed on from this combination and union of the male and female cell, and whichever is more common, more popular, more strong, the child will have that quality. Mother may have curly hair, father may have silky hair. The child may have either curly hair or silky hair. और both कैसे हो सकता है? A combination. It could be soft and the waves can come from the mother. But chances are, if both parents have curly hair, almost always the child will have curly hair. Like my parents both have curly hair. We are 4 sisters. All of us have curly hair. That gene was dominant. So the color of the eyes, your lips, your nose, your body structure, the bone, it is all a result of your parents or even your parents' parents, because it is passed on to them from that. Is that so simple to understand? Although this topic seems very difficult, Miracle of Creation or Dr. Maya Montessori or Sir Shamim or you, the starting point was same. But where the change can come? How come Gandhi was famous? How come Maria Montessori is Maria Montessori? Although the first day all children look the same. They are helpless, they are tiny, and they have zero intelligence. So how come we are all so different? Some of us are more intelligent, some of us are less, some are the farmers, some are scientists.
The work we changes the environment is different.
What?
The work, like environment, Maya Montessori invented a new system of teaching, so she became different from us.
Oh, no, she was different from us, that's why she taught a new system of teaching. Okay, I'm going to conclude, and the last few words, that since children are born every day and they grow up in front of our eyes, we have never thought about the fabulous, amazing miracle it is of nature. And now as Montessorian, we have also found out that the newborn child is like a plasticine, a soft clay, and we can turn, twist, change, not the color of the eyes, वो भी surgery से कर सकते हैं, but natural personality of the child, exactly according to the environment. So you have the magic key now to change the life of the child. So the life, that child will change the world, inshallah. Thank you so much. We are going to have a test. A question about anyone who is sitting in this hall who has not signed the attendance sheet. Anyone sitting in this hall who has not understood anything up till now that we have been saying? Are we giving you too much information? Too fast? Going nice and slow according to the pace? Yes. And the nice part is that since different people talk, different voice, different style, different personality, each one of us message, word, lecture remains in your mind, should remain in your mind. So, for a change in the personality and a change in the voice, and of course with a new topic, we will be having the next lecture. As I asked you that you are done with the attendance, after that we shall be having your test, and then there is a lot. But as I said, I in everyday talk that you can understand how the human child is created. Next, difficult, important, worth listening to and understanding is the topic embryology and behavior. What is the connection? What happens? How do we end up being what we are? So, for that lecture, let us call upon Mrs. Meher Javed. Ma'am Meher.
Very interesting topic, but it requires a lot of concentration. Embryology and behavior. As we all know that the child is born from one dot of the gene, and through that then the development goes on. For the different species, different stages of growth. When you start, it all starts from one cell, one single dot. But then as the progress goes on, there are different types of living creatures in the world. And the requirement of each thing is according to its embryo. When the embryo is formed, then the early stages are similar in all of them. But as the progress goes on, then after a certain time, the developments are stopped. They are arrested according to the requirement of that species. And in this, Mario Montessori gives the example of walrus. It's a small creature which lives in the water, it floats, and it is just very simple information. And it is formed at an early stage. The progress of the embryo is captured and the creature is complete. And the next stage is called the voluntary parents. And they are double-walled and they have hollow spheres, and again it has double layers. It has more than the volvax. So as the progress is going on in the embryos, the different species are being formed. Then comes the ectoderm and endoderm, and the three layers are formed. In this way, many species were formed. But the final difference will come when the embryo is complete. This was the fact that the descent theory through which the animals and the human beings were formed, there were different creatures that were formed. Some were stopped in their growth at a certain age, and the others went on continuing in their progress. And then the baby which was born from that embryo was a different creature. All the stages are different from each other. And this is called the recapitulation theory. For this reason, many researches were going on. And Darwin's theory was put aside that with time changes come and from the animals we turn into human beings. This was of no importance at that time because the changes come in the embryos. And there was one famous experimentalist who was working with the genes of plants and animals and insects, and he was Hugo de Verris. He gave the mutation theory. He observed that if you observe any plant, then there are different species of that plant, different stages of that also. On the one side there are different types, and then there is the different growth of that. And they are not affected only due to the environment, but they are affected due to the internal changes. Sometimes the external changes become difficult, so the internal changes are affecting the growth. Just and then the Mario Montessori gives the example that in nature the changes are internal, but the result is external. And if you can compare in your daily life with the example she gives is of buildings. To make any building, you require raw material. What would that be?
Cement, bricks.
Yes. These are the basic things which you require to make any building. But the design, the structure of the building is according to the requirements. What you want to make, what you want, for which purpose you require. Same if we consider deeply, then the process of growth for embryos is also the same. The same material is required, the cells, the germs, the genes, everything is similar, but the end level is different because of the stages it has to be stopped in. Because if it stops at an early stage, an animal will be formed. If it will develop more, it will turn into a human being. So the requirement is the same, but the progress and growth of each stage is different. So the behavior is affected by the embryonic stage. The embryos are the forming part of any living being. And that living being is created by Allah, our creator. So for that, the child is going also through different stages of growth. And no stage is completed by itself. There are different centers of growth, just as Ma'am told you that yes, there have to be different things which will collect together, the centers are formed, and then the organs are formed for the development. And when these organs are being formed, they can be influenced by the genes. And now because of the so much development, the genes can be also influenced by the external. And this now is being visible in the humans, but previously it was done on animals and insects and vegetables. Because the example given in the book by Montessori is about the plants, that if they influence the embryo, then the growth was more, it was giving more fruit, the stems were without thorns, and different examples of plants, and about the bees, that how they would not sting and they would produce more honey. So it is the embryo which will form the later stage of the different centers are being developed. The embryos can be subjected to influences which bring change in the whole personality, and this is done through the genes and the combination of different heredities. Just as the genes are developing the physical side, at the same time the mental personality of the child is also being formed. When the child is born, then he does not have any ideas and it's just the physical creature which is in front of us. But at the same time, child is developing his mental abilities. He is developing the different senses. He is able to judge the different things around him. And this is done with a lot of effort on the child's part. Child has to do the growing up by himself. And it is not that one thing is done and then the other center will develop. It is at the same time going on. The child is growing physically, he is learning how to handle things, he can hold things. At the same time, he is learning to walk. So the many changes are going on inside the child. The child is progressing physically and mentally. And it is all because of the embryonic stage. The mental development is done by the absorbent mind, and the psychic organs formed around it are also developing. None of the sensitive periods occupy the whole of the development period. Each one does their job and they are working for the betterment of the whole place. So just as the nature is giving its duties to the different creatures around the world, child is also developing, man is facing the changes through the child, and it is the duty ascribed to the human being that they will not only live in this world, but they will try to make it in a better place. And development is going on. Previously, man used to work only for the betterment for himself, but it is the requirement of the time that the child will turn into man, works for the betterment of the world where he is living. So in this chapter, Montessori discusses the different things such as the theory of descent, how the animals and the creatures, they were not formed only by the passage of time into new creatures, but it was the difference in the embryos. The embryo which is formed and it is going through the different stages. If the growth is captured at a certain stage, then it will turn into one creature, but if the growth is going on, the embryo will turn into a higher level of the creature. And many research were going on. Embryo was subjected to influence which were capable of working changes, and that was experimentally done by different embryologists. By the means of communication, vegetable heredity was changed. They could make the fruits get more taste, more quantity, and richer in quality. The importance of the embryo lies in the fact that it is still in the process of growth. The embryo is such a creature that it is in the process of growth. It can be learned to be honest with the surroundings, to take examples from your surroundings, from nature, and let your child grow and develop in the way as it is prescribed by nature.
Okay, students are preparing for them. Thank you. Ma'am Mitrat will be giving you the 4 tests.
Anybody else with 6 tests? No, ma'am, only 2 girls.
Okay. Then 7 tests. 7?
Only 3.
Yes. 8. directors to be here and continue on with the rest of the session. What is next? So, those little secrets, what is the next program? As you can see, Mr. and Mrs. Shamim, they just arrived and they're here with us. So, yes. So, without wasting
I think it's for this morning for me. How things? How were lectures?
Good.
Okay, that's lovely. I do expect that. Now, our next programs are, I'll be doing lecture, and after that we'll have a break, and after break we shall be showing you 2 very important and very beautiful videos of international repute, in which you will see Dr. Montessori talking as well. So that's the main feature of this conference. Now, what we have decided, that in addition to these books, 4 books, we shall be touching the international journals, international magazines, lectures by international repute speakers. The best organization in the world, in my view, is NAMTA, North American Montessori Teachers Association. I have chalked out the program for the whole year, and I'll try my level best to deliver very selective and very meaningful lectures. But when I'm not here in Karachi, then definitely it will be done by some of my experts. But these lectures will be there. Now the first lecture topic is culture. Let me just make very children, the makers of culture, and the artist within. And this lecture is by Olga, dentist, and she is a highly reputed expert, Montessori consultant of AMI Holland. She has done AMI Traveling Diploma from Mexico City. She got a degree in special education and family counseling. She is an outstanding practitioner and has been a high-spirited presenter in Canada, Mexico, and Central and South America. Currently, she is working as a professional development mentor for the Children's House at Keystone Montessori in Phoenix, Arizona. Now, this lecture was presented by her in the NAMTA conference on January 20 and 23, 2011. Now, the point is that I prepared this lecture and I plan to make transparencies, but due to